Hi, quick background about me. I'm not a big movies guy. There are plenty of entire film franchises that are really popular that I've never seen. I wouldn't say Planet of the Apes is an insanely popular film franchise. It feels like it sits on the fringes of, I guess, popular media. But I am interested in, I guess, old sci-fi. And I've heard people talking about this new film, Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes, which I won't be talking about in this video, I'm afraid. But every other film I plan to watch because they're all on Disney Plus. So I'm gonna sit down. I'm not gonna do it in one sitting or anything crazy like that. But I'm gonna watch them sequentially over a course of I don't know, days, weeks, months, however long it takes me. I'm gonna come back here to this Vegas Pro video editing file, and I'm gonna sit down. I'm gonna record my thoughts on each one, and I'm gonna tell you, as someone who has never watched any of the Planet of the Apes movies, I feel like it's probably good to establish the things that I know and the things that I don't know. I know that the first movie is about someone discovering Earth, but the big twist is that it's Earth because they don't know that it's Earth until later. I know you destroyed it all, you damn dirty apes, or whatever it is. That's a pretty famous moment in cinema history. I'm more familiar with the Simpsons version, of course. Um, and I believe I have watched all over, at least most of, Rise of the Planet of the Apes, the first reboot movie, but I don't remember much of it. So hopefully I enjoy these. But if not, you're about to hear me slowly lose my mind. Oh, and one last thing I feel like is probably good to establish. I'm not a big monkeys guy. I'm not a big apes guy. I'm not a huge fan. I don't look at monkeys and go, oh, they're so adorable. I don't look at apes and go, oh, they're so cool. So I don't know if I'm going to like these movies, but we'll see. Alright, that's it. I've watched Planet of the Apes, and I really enjoyed it. As I've already said in regards to Star Trek the original series, I'm surprised at how well some of this old sci-fi holds up. That being said, there are certain parts which we will get to which don't hold up, but for the most part, like in terms of just raw enjoyability, really good. Now, of course, I mentioned already knowing the twist at the end of a movie because it's one of the most famous moments of cinema of all time, where Heston, or whatever his character is called, Bright Eyes, we'll call him Bright Eyes, finds out that actually he hasn't travelled to another world. He's just travelled to the future, the world that he has been subjected to, where humans are animals and apes are intelligent, is the world that ends up happening. And, watching this movie, part of me did think it would be cool to be able to watch this and not know that, Maybe I'm slightly sad that I already have that twist, I guess, spoiled for me. But at the same time, there's value to watching everything twice, value to watching something the first time around, not knowing anything, and then especially if it's something with a pretty big revelation that changes the way you view the entire story, there's definitely value to experiencing it a second time. And so I just kind of imagined this as maybe like my second experience in that regard. That being said, I think it's interesting to note that I misquoted this at the start. I thought the quote was, "Damn it, you blew it up, you damn dirty apes," but it's not. He's not blaming the apes. He's blaming the humans, and at the start of the movie we learn a little bit about this character, and about the fact that he basically wanted to go on this mission because he can't stand humanity, he can't stand for infighting, he can't stand for lack of technological progress due to infighting and that kind of thing. And so he's excited to travel forward in time and travel to a potential different civilization and see, this, better way of living. And of course, the opening kind of I guess the middle portion of this movie is the tragedy of the fact that he's found this civilization, which in many ways is more barbaric than the one he just left, at least in how they treat humans. But yeah, I think while a movie based around a society of intelligent apes has the potential to be really wacky and really weird and hard to take seriously, I think this movie does actually a very good job of exploring this idea in a serious way. The one thing I will say I think that hasn't necessarily aged well is the same thing that hasn't aged well in terms of Star Trek, which is, I guess, just how it treats women. Although, to be fair, the female scientist was pretty well written, in my opinion. The ape scientist, not the human scientist. The main issue I take is that the mission was for 4 scientists to go and discover this new world in the Orion system or whatever. And the reason the female scientist is there is because she was going to be our Eve. We were going to use her to breed. And also the woman that George Taylor decides to rescue as well, who is one of those humans who can't speak. All I can think of is, I mean, okay, ostensibly she's in the story to signpost his, he's trying to be good. He's trying to save someone from this kind of brutal enslavement, I guess. But no, man, just the fact that she's stupid and can't talk and is just there to kind of like look nice. I think there's a reason for her character to be there. It's already stated at the beginning of the movie that this character Taylor is very lonely, so it makes sense that he would do this, but it just comes off a little bit old-fashioned in my opinion. Didn't ruin the movie for me at all though. I really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed the pacing of the world building in this movie as well, learning more about the history of the apes and their kind of secret history, and the fact that some of the higher ups or the protectors of the faith kind of know about know a little bit about the history of man being a little bit more than them just being animals, and there being kind of like a, hey, just so you know, don't let man procreate and become intelligent and stuff because they'll fucking ruin the world, which is kind of a revelation that gets shown to us at the end of a movie. Really cool idea. And yet at the same time it's also taking pot shots at the idea of people clinging to a faith and using it to staunch scientific progress, which is something we have in our history as well. It's actually something that would have been more relevant back in the 60s, not necessarily like super relevant at the time, but nowadays I feel like we've moved a little bit away from that. This is more of a take on, I think, like when Darwinism's like theory of evolution came out and like all the arguments that came surrounding that. I think the 60s was still on kind of a tail end of a fallout from a lot of that, whereas now I don't think it's really questioned, at least not here in the UK, or not in like the communities I've grown up in. Also, one last thing before we move on to the next movie. I was really surprised that the apes, their kind of like prosthetic makeup or whatever they use to make them look like apes, that's actually something that's aged really well. I'm not mistaking them for apes or anything, but they were believable. I wasn't distracted by it or anything, and for a movie that came from the 60s, that's a really surprising thing. So good job to the team who I guess worked on that. If they're still with us, that's a dark thought. This is an old movie. I hope they won awards, if they gave awards for that kind of thing back then. Anyway, all that audio that you literally just heard was recorded about 3 months ago. I have since watched a sequel, which I will upload as a separate video, but I realised retroactively that I shouldn't be doing this all in one big series in one video. I should give each movie its own video, so this is now going to belong to the whole not quite opening night thing. And can I just tack this on the end of the video? I'm a little pleased with myself for coming up with that title. Not quite opening night. I like it. I think it puts across what I'm trying to do pretty succinctly, and I like the thumbnail template I thought up as well. Anyway, thank you for tuning in. Join us probably next week for thoughts on the sequel, because I've already recorded that, and I will catch you in whatever I make next.